Thank you very much once again. And as we were saying, I would like to know how you first was involved in music, and what were your earliest experiences with music. Uh,
My earliest experience with music was in sound system. I would say it's because there was nothing much for young people to do. It's the same old story, but it's true. Growing up in early London, in my case, central London, there weren't many youth clubs. There was only garages and building sites where you could hang out. And we had nothing else to do but wire up speaker boxes and play old reggae records, old calypso records, and talk over them and MC over them, but without no microphones, no electrics. And I was watching the older guys do this. And there's me, a little guy, trying to grow dreadlocks at the time, yeah? And, you know, I did grow them for a few years. And that was me being with the reggae thing and doing a lot of toasting. And then from there, I was in 3 sound systems. I must say their names, okay? It was Tradition, Enforcer, and Jafrika. These are the 3 sound systems that I grew up with and that influenced me to be the person I am now regarding music. And that is what I would say brought me into the music scene as it stands now, because I still am involved in music, but now I produce drum and bass, I produce dubstep, and I produce ambient music as well. So complete different genres, but I still, as it were, take in what I learnt from the past and use it for my work now. I would say the people around me as well, the older guys around me, they had nothing to do with their life as well, apart from work with music. And it was either that or walk around the streets and get into trouble with the police. The same traditional thing, unfortunately. It seems like urban people seem to have the finger pointed at them, and so we're enclaved and then we have nothing else to do. A bit like Native American Indians. That's the best way I can describe it. We're sort of stopped from doing what we can do, so we have to find little hideouts, digs, garages, and then make our own noise, make our own music, you know? It was like rebelling against society. And I grew up out of the punk scene as well. So because I was growing up in central London, I was surrounded by the early punk scene as well, yeah? And that had a lot of influence on me being a musician or an eclectic lyricist, I would say, as well.
Cool. That's interesting. And so I would like to understand, I understood that you were involved with 3 different sound systems.
Correct.
But I would like to understand when eventually you decided to pick up a mic.
You want to know the years themselves?
No. What pushed you into taking up the mic, writing your own lyrics and taking up the mic?
Okay. I would say that I believed I always had a talent for having something to say. And I never had a platform to say it. I never thought I could be a writer. I never thought I could be a singer. I thought those were for people who had degrees when you watched them on television. But I realised, yeah, there were places where people were just playing music and having the equivalent of block parties. And I decided, yeah, this is somewhere I would go to if you want, have an outlet. But there is a nitty-gritty to this story, okay? And that is, before I was doing that, and as I say before, I was living a more urban street life, which meant I was moving around with people not so pleasant, I'm afraid. I was moving around with angels, but I was also moving around with demons, okay? And sometimes you're on the road, you're on the street, and you meet up with the demons, and you hang about with them for a bit, okay? Because there's nothing else to do, yeah? That's it, right? So you get into trouble because eventually, even if you're innocent and you've got nothing else to do, you will get caught, okay? And that was me. That's what it is, yeah? So I was incarcerated for a little bit, okay? That's the way it is, you know? It's something I didn't do, but that's the way it is. And then I came out realizing we live in a very unjust society, very unjust society. And as I say, that made me more determined to have something to say, and I needed a platform to say it, you know. I'm afraid I wasn't one of those angelic college boys. You know, I grew up in King's Cross and Central, yeah, and Southwark Bridge Road. You know, all Central London. So I had no time to. I didn't have no niceties. Yeah, so I would say that was one of the influences that made me have to speak my mind. And yeah, so I decided eventually you have to earn your points with these bigger guys. Before they let you touch a microphone, you have to prove yourself that you've got something to say. So they make you wait a bit in the corner and listen to you. So I used to mumble away and chat my reggae lyrics. So eventually, when they're not around, when they're doing their rehearsals, you can pick up the mic and say something. And they like you and they admire you. So they say, oh, Cheeko, you're not too bad, you know. Come and chat on the mic, you know. Come let me hear you roll. So I talked on the mic. I used to copy Eco Mouse. I used to copy Yellow Man. I used to copy Dennis Brown. I used to copy Sugar Minot. I used to copy U-Roy. I used to copy I-Roy. Yeah. So we're talking very early reggae artists. I used to copy on the microphone, and I used to do all that style. Yeah. But I also used to copy, I would say, early American artists, but I never knew their names. It was just some of the music you would hear at the radio, at someone's tape recorder. But I used to copy that style and mix it with the reggae. So these guys, and then I was influenced with the anarchistic, crass Central London punk style, I'm afraid, yeah? And so all of that would be added to my flavour, to my menu, yeah? It was like, you know, to this melting pot that was me, yeah? So that is what I would deliver. And the guys thought, well, he's not no ordinary MC. He's got something to say. He's not angry, but he seems to be philosophical. So, and it seems like they didn't mind that. And plus I was trying to grow dreadlocks as well and be part of the crowd, you know. And that, I think, helped with them as well. So that's when I started to pick up the mic and develop my style, yeah? That's what I would say.
Now, I would like to understand and from you how eventually from these early stages when you had to be accepted by other, that you and your friends form the crew
Family Quest.
Family Quest, and then eventually how from toasting what push you?
I tell you, right?
From going from toasting to MC, I would like to understand what was the pushing force.
Yes, right.
Or inspiration.
I would say there was a couple of, as a sound system, Jafrika, me, Harry and In was in Jafrika, yeah? And so that's me now leaving Tradition and Enforcer and going into Jafrika, the sound system. And in Jafrika, we was playing lovers rock music and roots reggae steppers music, right? And we was playing a lot of toasting music. But then creeping through the media, there was some electro music. There was some, it wasn't hip hop so much, it was more electro. It wasn't the commercial Sugar Hill Gang, and it was just slightly more underground. And I would say that me, Harry and Ian in particular, being that we're from the same neighbourhood, we picked up on this new sound, but we were still very much influenced by yard music and Central London music, underground music, yeah? And I would say that again, I think that sort of, we thought to ourselves, hey, let me just try this style of lyric on a reggae beat, because we still wasn't using electro beat, but we used to play sort of disco music a bit, just to break up the reggae music in the clubs, and we used to do the shebeens and the blues dances, yeah? So we used to do all of that, and we used to, you know, charge people to come in and whatnot, but they thought, yeah, this is cool, these guys are cool. And then we thought we'd, yeah, just chat some different lyrics, especially me. I was the experimental one, I've got to be honest. I'm the experimental one. So I wanted to experiment talking hip-hop lyrics on reggae beats. I wouldn't say hip-hop at the time though, I would say electro or rap. But I felt more comfortable toasting and doing reggae on electro, which I still do. If you hear the stuff I do on drum and bass and the stuff I do in dubstep, it's me vocaling, but you would know it was me, but I'm still chatting a bit reggae. Yeah, I'm still got that strong influence from my sound system days on my drum and bass and on my dubstep and everything else I do, yeah? So I would say, yeah, again, we did we did find the new music breaking through around 82, 83 interesting enough to experiment with. And that's what I think is. Does that answer your question?
Totally, totally. But now, so as we were saying, you were growing up in central London with different inspiration and backgrounds
yeah.
and influences. Then we understood that coming from the radio, there was an early electro and rap, which wake you up, let's say, like put it like this, you find something interesting, and so you started experimenting. So I would like to understand what gave you this new music, what was the inspiration to create something new?
Ganja.
No, no, we can
Edit
no.
that.
I thought you were replying like this, that like before, that hip hop was opening your mind.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
different.
What the hip hop did, if you want, what the Americans had different from us is that they were more, I wouldn't say more assertive than us, because we had the punk era, which is more assertive than the hip hop, yeah. And but they had a different form of expression. They could make anger entertaining. That's what they could do. Yeah, they could make not aggressiveness, but they could make assertiveness entertaining. Where I grew up with a punk scene, you were angry and that was it, and you spoke that way. You listened to Clash, Slits, you listened to the Sex Pistols. They were angry and they spoke angry. The guitar, the whole vibe was like rebel. That was the same thing going on in America, but they made it more suave and sexy, but more entertaining, uplifting. And I like that. I like because it stopped the fighting in the dance. Because the only thing about the reggae dances is that, and we were young men and young ladies, but mostly males, they would get aggressive with themselves because, you know, where they're expressing their feelings, but they'd wind themselves up and they might fight, and that's unnecessary. Yeah? Wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. And I was one of those guys. For some reason, I'm not into the fighting. I'd prefer that they had a good time. Yeah? And I had a tendency to talk to men a lot. You know, I just did. I said all the guys look good, all the men look good. I would say that. I wouldn't just go and talk to the ladies all the time and make the guys feel left out, yeah? So I talked to the men, and that made me, the difference between me and the Americans, the fly ladies. I would talk to the guys as well, have a good time, you know? And I would talk about their issues, but I would talk about it in a smiley way or a philosophical way. And I did used to write down lyrics. Some of the stuff I did was improvisation, but I did write some stuff down if I think I needed to say it and they needed, the crowd of people needed to hear it. So I think that was a bit of my difference as well with the Americans, because I like what the Americans do, but I'm from this side of the pond. I have people from I have friends from different parts of the world, you know, Europe, the Orient as well. So one of my best friends was a Chinese guy. One of my long-term girlfriends was a French girl, and so I had this openness about me living in London, you know. And I wasn't really keen on the so-called, which is too late now, it's here. It was, although the Americans were entertaining, they still had a lot of gangster talk, yeah? And I wasn't into the gangster talk, me personally, yeah? And so I would avoid that in my young day. I was more talking about having because I came from the reggae scene of the steppers roots scene now, the roots scene. So it was more like, okay, I did used to talk about spliff a lot. I did talk about drink a lot. I did talk about having a good time with your woman. I did say that, you know, have a good time out, you know. And that was what was more my interest. The entertainment side of what the Americans had, I wanted to put that with my punk and Rasta influence. See, Bob Marley is good and Dennis Brown is good, but they're too conscious. It's very good being conscious. I listen to the music. I grew up on the music, but I just wanted to put a nice entertaining feel to it, you know, have a good bop up and down to it, you know. And that was my difference between me and our American cousins.
Just one thing, no, ti voglio confrontare con te. Siccome lui ha fatto un accenno, no, agli altri generi musicali, per me andrebbe bene così.
No, infatti, secondo me è perfetto what you said, because it was perfect, because what you said about punk having been an influence. About other things, for us is perfect because we understood that in your lyrics you had obviously you were mixing up different things, and the fact that he said about the American and the gangsterism, or the fact that they were assertive but they were making entertainment, and the way he was mixing the consciousness of Bob Marley, the assertiveness of punk and eventually American rap, but mixing it up for entertainment. For me, it was
it's what I
it was
wanted
cool.
to,
So
to listen, to hear from him. It's okay for me.
no, se
Non
c'hai
la
qualche
volevo
altro
confrontare
no,
con
no,
te,
per
se
me
per
è
te ok,
perfetto,
per
io
me
l'ho
ok.
fatta così.
Ok.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. So it's cool for now.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay.
No problem.
Because well, look, you were perfect with 3 questions because we understood the reggae
Yeah.
scene,
Yeah.
how you were involved. Then we understood how you decided to take up the mic toasting, and then how you went on. And the main thing is that the other influences that. It would have been another question, but you put it inside there, so it's perfect.
Ah,
That's what
great.
we were confirmed.